while from now, but you get a sense of the International Media Centre. Just about everybody is over here. So it's a packed house really, because there's a lot of anticipation on what are going to be the talks which are going to take place through the day today. And you rightly pointed out, and this is what we have been picking up by way of our government sources consistently, trade and economic times, the trade and economic policies and ties are going to be the focus. It's not an easy time to have this G20 summit, and it's a huge challenge as far as India is concerned, but it does want to leave behind a legacy as it hands over the presidency to Brazil. What is it, that legacy that it wants to leave behind? Well, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and Vishwamitra. That is possible in this competitive world to actually be friends of each other, and we also need to help each other. India has made the very strong pitch that protectionism by each country is understandable. We would of course protect our own interest, Atmanirbharta, self-reliance. That's going to be the crux of India's economic policies. But at the same time, we open our doors to foreign investment. I mean, for example, the Apple manufacturing company coming up first over here in India gives a lot of scope for skill development, gives us a lot of scope for employment. So what are quickly the points which I have been picking up, and we have been reporting this? Cryptocurrency on the agenda. That's a huge achievement, I would say, by the Indian government to put it on the agenda. There was a strong resistance which came in from many countries. India managed to convince them. As Amitabh Kant, who's our Sherpa, pointed out yesterday, the Delhi declaration is ready. We just have to go and put it on the table. And I think that's where the negotiations, the power and the charisma of the Prime Minister is going to be put to test. And they are very gung-ho as far as the Indian circle is concerned. That's one. Second is, of course, economic protectionism, economic offenders. That's something which India has made a key point about. We want to get a list of our economic offenders, but we are chained in by the fact that the countries have their own policies, as a result of which we are not able to bring them to task. That's also going to be a focus of the Indian government, and the Prime Minister is going to make a strong pitch for that. The dinner roughly begins at around 7:15, and the President of India is going to be over here at the Mandapam, and that's where every head of state who are a part of the delegates, they are going to be there. Minister is going to be there, and of course former Prime Ministers too have been invited, as well as the Chief Minister. For example, the West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee is already over here. She came late last evening. So they are a part of the presidential banquet, and as the President of India has herself tweeted out a statement, it talks about one earth, one family, one future, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That is the key point of this entire day-long deliberations which are going to be taking place over here at the Mandapam. In fact, very interesting, Ayesha, that the two meetings which we are talking about, the subtitle is actually One Earth. The second meeting is, of course, called One Family. So what India is going to try and project, and has been doing so, is that, you know, all the countries, especially those within the G20 and even beyond that, are interlinked. If you do something wrong, it's going to have a rippling effect, and that's the point which India is going to be pushing on the table. Well, the President has echoed those taglines and the thoughts within the government, something which the Prime Minister has been reiterating on. You were asking about what really is going to be on the platter. Well, a slice of India. We are told that the food and the menu is, of course, completely vegetarian, but it is also going to be a focus on millets. That's been the hallmark, really. And the second important, of course, is whether it's the sweet dishes, whether it's the main course, all of them are going to be representative of each and every state of India. In fact, today onwards, the whole day through, the delegates who are here, the heads of states who are over here, all of them are going to be given, for example, the famous street foods of Delhi. So to get their idea to the world and to the G20 delegates over here is what India is all about. And despite the fact that we have different languages, different geography, food, we are united. There is a unity in diversity, which also should be the cardinal principle as far as, one, the Delhi Declaration, and second, of course, is the G20 deliberations.
There is a standard which has been set by all these multilateral for these multilateral events, that event will be considered successful if there is a joint declaration, if there is a joint statement, and that is perhaps what Bharat is working on right now. And as Pallavi was saying, that you know, a lot now relies on Prime Minister's charisma and might to build consensus, because since all these leaders have already already arrived in the national capital, so there must be back channel going on. And with regard to the joint declaration, as far as Sherpa track is concerned, so para 3 and para 4, to which Russia and China has been raising objection to. So we could see a fresh language, or perhaps language can be reworked, something of that sort can be done. Talking about the finance track, there were two objections which were raised in the finance track, and that is also very important. The China is hesitant about a climate resilience package that US and India want with the G20 member. And the second is G20 members call for a recommendation on food insecurity, but Russia is hesitant. So these are the two objections which have been raised by Russia and China in the finance track. But as Pallavi said, and perhaps the journalists here are also interested in knowing that what is going to be the fate of India's G20 presidency. One thing is for sure, that India is a voice of Global South. When China says that China is a leader of Global South, India is a voice of Global South, and that India has proven. The kind of agenda, other than these 4 points which I have highlighted, is very sustainable, balanced, developmental, and perhaps the agenda is only to push to accelerate the growth of the countries from the Global South. Very beginning, these countries from the West were trying to trap India by saying that Russia-Ukraine war is impacting the food prices, impacting is causing inflation. But India has maintained the position by saying that this presidency is dedicated to the concerns of Global South. It is not about the two blocks, West and Russia. It is about two blocks, Global North and Global South. So that has been India's constant position, and perhaps that is perhaps the success of India, to get everybody on one table when it comes to the concerns of global. Most important, the inclusion of African Union. I guess that is a landmark achievement for India, and the way India has convinced all other nations, Anand, for their inclusion. We could see perhaps maybe today or tomorrow when the joint statement will come, that mostly African Union is going to, in all likelihood, African Union is going to get inducted, and it would be interesting to see whether name gets changed to G21 or it will remain G20.